What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is going to be your review for the Real Housewives of Atlanta season finale review, whatever. Listen, we all know what's been going down. They had to do a virtual reunion because all of us have been, well, most of us have been stuck in our homes for the last 2 months now, I guess. So it was a virtual reunion. Looks like they were doing like a Zoom thing. They were all set up like the Brady Bunch. I think Andy called them the Shady Bunch, and they all had on white. It's sort of hard to really get into looks because they were sitting down. We never really got a full view. But from where I was sitting, I think my favorite was probably Cynthia's. I love that over the shoulder beaded strap thing she had going on. I don't know. Candy did all of her own hair and glam, and I thought she did a pretty decent job. You know, she looked decent. Eva said she did her own hair, but she had glam come in to do her makeup. Everybody else admitted they had a glam squad, just like normal. So I hope everybody was wearing a mask. Whatever. Um, Honestly, I can't. It's really not a whole lot to really get into because it is what it is. It's the same shit, different day. You know what I'm saying? They sitting there, they talking about each other. But what I did notice is that they were a whole lot bolder in how they were talking to each other and the names that they were calling because they were not physically in the same room. I really do. They was. I mean, I think it was about 4, 5 bitches. We had a trick. We had a nappy-headed trick. I mean, we had a whole lot of things going on that I don't feel like all that would have been said if they were actually sitting in each other's face. Now, we know certain people would not bite their tongue. Like, a Nene is going to always be a Nene. But some of them feel, I don't know, I just feel like maybe y'all wrong. Y'all can bring it to me in the comments. But I really didn't feel like, child. Okay, so we started off talking about, well, we didn't start off here, but these are my notes, okay? Kenya and her marriage. So, listen. Bravo Andy didn't really pull no punches either, honey. Bravo Andy said, well, you know, do you feel like, because she said that her and Mark are working on things, that he has really done a 360, that he has totally, you know, is trying to get back with his family. He's dedicated back to making things right with him and his family. Now, here's the thing. I don't know how much I believe that because to hear Kenya tell the story prior to this season, everything was hunky-dory with them and everything was love and it was all this and it was all that. Now, you know, because they actually got separated, now we know that things weren't as perfect as Kenya tried to make it. So I don't know if Mark is so gung-ho on bringing his family back, because it seems to me like a man that's trying to bring his family back in the middle of this pandemic, I feel like they would need to be in the same place while they work this out. But he's still in New York doing, you know, she said he feeding the first responders and all that, which is admirable. But Kenya, you can do Kenya Moore hair care from anywhere. You had a virtual reunion. You don't have no reason to be in Atlanta. Why you not with your man trying to work this out? But that's just my 2 cents. The other thing that came up was about Kenya and how she's come for other people in their marriages. And she was saying, well, those people came for me. Those people came for me. And they used Portia as an example, I guess, because Portia was sitting there. But at the end of the day, I'm going to keep going back to, well, what did Kim Fields do to you? Like, okay, if you and Portia, whatever, but what did Kim Fields do? Like, let's throw everybody else out the window. What did Kim Fields do, Kenya? Then she went on to say that she is very submissive in her relationships with people that she loves, and that when it's women that she don't really care nothing about, i.e. them, that she is very, you know, straightforward and whatever. Brandy Lord. I think Bravo Andy was sort of calling bullshit, and so am I. Ken got, your husband got Ken hooked, wrapped around his little pinky finger, honey. But it is what it is, whatever. Then we had Nene and Eva going at it, because the whole thing about when Nene sort of threw out the thing about Kenya's eggs, which I thought was disgraceful. I thought that was taking it a bridge too far, talking about that woman wasn't using her real eggs, because then you questioning the whole parentage of, that's not a word, but I made it up just now, of her daughter. Like, I felt like that was disrespectful. Nene was like, I said it, you know, Nene, I said it and I ain't taking it back. And then Eva put her 2 cents in, and Nene told her, rightfully so, this ain't your fight. And it wasn't. Like, Eva, you really didn't have no reason to chime in. Like, that really won't. That really won't your business. But I understood her point. She said it was despicable. So then Eva and Nene got into this back and forth. And Eva was like, listen, when I first met you, I was on a red carpet. You were outside of the red carpet begging to get on the red carpet. So then they started going back and forth. And, you know, of course, that was 20 years ago. You ain't done nothing since America's Top Model. And, you know, blah, 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 blah. Then, something about the kids being off limits. Whatever. Then Portia's finances came up. So then Portia was like, oh, so, no, I mean, Nene's finances came up because they started talking about foreclosures and stuff. Which I don't know, Eva, you the last person that need to talk about anybody's finances. I don't think, whether the rumors were true or false, the fact that that was your whole storyline last season, you probably shouldn't bring up finances. I'm just saying. And as far as people having foreclosed homes and all of that, like, at the end of the day, you know, we don't care, child. I mean, the president of the United States done had 20 bankruptcies. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nene left, which in this case just meant she closed her computer. And when she came back, she was very crass about it. Talking about some, she went to the bathroom and had to do some other things that I will not repeat because I feel like it was very crass. Tanya and Marlo came through. They didn't really have a whole lot to add. Marlo didn't really say a whole lot of anything. You know, I'm sure she's going to be all up in part 2. Tanya was in the amen section a few times, and she was just trying to get her 2 cents in, child. She's trying to get a peach, child. Then we talked about Candy being the bone carrier. You know, they called her KMZ. And Candy was like, you know, I was in a really weird position because I was cool with everybody. So it was kind of like, I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't. If I'm sitting around and I hear you talking about somebody that I'm cool with and I don't let them know what was said, then I look fake and phony when everybody sees the rollback. But if I do say something, now I'm a bone carrier and I'm messy. I can't win. You know, I was cool with everybody, so everybody talked around me. And of course, everybody talked about everybody else when everybody wasn't around. So, okay, so there was that. Then they brought up this whole thing about talking about the kids, and they kept talking about when Eva said, the whole thing about what Eva said about Portia, whatever, and Eva was like, look, I honestly forgot I said it. My bad. Now, Eva, you got a real bad habit of forgetting what you say, darling, daughter. I'm going to need you to do a better job of remembering when you start going off on people because you know somebody, you know Bravo Andy is going to play that shit back and show that you said it. So you need to do a better job of remembering what you said. But the other thing that came up was about Kenya's daughter looking like Mark, Portia's daughter looking like Dennis with a bow. I don't understand why that's an insult. What that says to me is if you feel like it's an insult to say that your child looks like their father, then what that says to me is you must think that your man is ugly. Because I don't understand how that's an insult. I don't understand how that's a read. Now, I understand that if you have a daughter, nobody wants their daughter to look like a boy. But that's not what that means. It's like, oh, she looks like her father. I don't understand how that's a read, how that's an insult. What that says to me is you know your man ugly. That's all I can take from that. Because, and I don't think that Mark's ugly. Now, Dennis. But I don't think Mark is. But I'm like, I just don't understand how that became such a big, oh, you're talking about the kids. Oh, you're dragging my child. You're not dragging nobody's kid by saying they look like they damn daddy. I think the insult would be, she don't look nothing like her daddy. Is he really the daddy? See, that's the read, in my opinion. Then they brought up this whole thing about Eva making the comment about nappy-headed hoe. Look, I told y'all when it was said how I felt about it, and I'm going to say again how I feel about it. I don't have a problem with it. I don't think it was a colorist comment. See, here's the thing. If you're light skinned and you're black, so you can't make, you can't use the same language and the same insults that a dark skinned black person can use. But I'm black. So if I make a comment about somebody who happens to be darker skinned than me, then now it's a colorist comment. So because Eva has quote unquote good hair and because she's light skinned with green eyes, she can't make comments about somebody being black. So y'all gonna have to give me a whole new rule book. So white people can't make comments about black people, and black people can't make comments about black people either. Really? That's what we doing? So now every time somebody who's light skinned and makes a comment about somebody who's you know, now it's a colorist statement. And I just don't think that Eva was being racist. I don't think it was colorist. She called the woman a nappy-headed hoe. How many times you been called a nappy-headed hoe in your childhood? We done called each other all kinds of stuff, and that doesn't make it a colorist statement. It just pisses me off every time the first thing we want to do is go to colorist. Now if Kenya had called Portia a nappy-headed hoe, what you gonna say now? So it's okay for Kenya to call Portia a nappy-headed hoe, but Eva can't say it? Make that make sense to me. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It was something else that had happened that I wanted to bring up. Hold on. It was something else that had taken place that I wanted to address. That might be all of it. Those are all my notes. But I feel like something happened towards the end. Oh, how could I forget that? Portia and her receipts, honey. That's what it was. Portia was saying how she has receipts of Cynthia, because what's her name? Kenya tried to bring receipts against Nene, talking about Portia from like 3 years ago. And Portia was like, okay, that was 3 years ago. That's about me being on a Celebrity Apprentice. I was on a Celebrity Apprentice 3 years ago. Like, that is not a read. That is not dirt. But then Portia did bring some receipts on Kenya, that supposedly Kenya was texting her about Cynthia talking shit. And Andy was like, okay, well, what year did this take place? Like, when did this happen? And Kenya was like, oh, that happened this season. Honey, Cynthia's face was, and here's the thing, whenever somebody lying, they just don't want to address it, because there was a couple of times that Nene was called on her lies and they didn't even address it, right? She didn't even want to talk about it because they brought up the whole Wendy Williams thing, and Tanya was defending Nene, talking about something. I don't think it was that big of a deal. Wendy Williams didn't really. They were like, did you really see what Wendy Williams said? Did you hear how she talked about Nene? Child, she meant that thing, but Nene would not speak on it, honey. She would not address it. But Cynthia's silly ass is in it. She looking crazy as hell, talking about, I don't believe it to be true. I don't believe it. Here go Andy, messy ass. Can you text me those receipts? Can you send me those screenshots? Portia was sitting right there on the screen, sending them, emailing them, texting them, honey. My thing is this. So then, who was it? Candy gonna say, listen, or was it Cynthia? One of them gonna say, we all talk about each other, you know, when we cool with each other, when we not cool with each other. But Portia's thing was, but wait a minute, this was when you and Kenya supposedly were friends. So this ain't when y'all weren't friends. This ain't when y'all weren't cool. So anyway, that's pretty much what it was, child. Like I said, they talked about the Wendy Williams thing. They talked about Cynthia versus 50 Cent, and how she has, you know, she's one way, and that came up on the show. And Cynthia said, but that is me. Like, I am Cynthia, and I can be nice and cool and all of that. And then I can be 50 Cent, where I'm a lot more forceful, and, you know, I'll check a bitch. You know what I mean? So she ain't back down from it. She was like, that is who it is. That is what it is. That's who I am. So, child, that was pretty much all I got. Because, you know, this season ain't give me a whole lot, okay? But part 2 is next week, and you know they always say the good stuff for the second half, so I'm sure that they're going to have some other stuff going down on the second half. But anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.